what's up, y'all? I know this is a whole different type of setting, but I gotta do what I gotta do. And I hope you guys enjoyed last night's episode of Abbott Elementary season 2 episode 4, the principal's office. Now let's get into the video. So we open up the episode with a birthday party being held in Barbara's classroom, and one of her students was turning 6, and of course, you know, everybody was excited. We see the cupcakes, we see the candles, and it was just funny. It was like a funny little opener because they were showing how extra Barbara was as far as singing the happy birthday song, and it was long, drawn out, happy birthday dear, whatever the kid's name was. And he was just like, look lady, I just want to blow out my candles. And it was funny because we literally just had a birthday party in our classroom. But what's funny is that, y'all, we cannot bring cupcakes, we cannot bring anything like that anymore because of allergies, of, you know, different food allergies. And, you know, parents don't want their kids to have sugar, so it has to be like pre-packaged healthy things. And it was just funny because also I used to always have birthday parties in the classroom. My mom would bring candy bags and cupcakes and things like that. So it was a cute little opener to get us in the mood for the episode. And let's get into the real tea of the episode. So basically, y'all, this whole episode, which of course I said it before, it was titled Principal's Office, was mainly about family and discipline, and, you know, Janine's always wanted to make things better. So we begin with the classroom. I think we were in Greg's classroom, and he was teaching a lesson about solid, liquid, and gas, and a student just kept interrupting and always like making these little comments and having these little funny voices, and he was just annoying Greg and he was annoying the kids. So he was basically throughout the episode trying to figure out ways in which that he could discipline this child so that he can correct the root of the problem. And he decided to ask Jacob for advice, and Jacob just told him flat out, like, when my kids are doing, you know, X, Y, and Z in the classroom and it's causing a disturbance, I send them to the principal's office. And a light bulb kind of went off in his head, and he was like, you know what, I don't know why I didn't think about that. Like, you know, like, she's the principal, Ava, so she should be able to correct the problem and get them all together, and that way I'll be able to teach and he'll learn his lesson and he won't disturb me anymore. And so he does that, and he goes to Janine's class and basically like tells him, like, well, he tells her that, you know, I'm gonna go do this, and she's like, well, I never have to send my kids to the office, I never have to do this, I never have to do that. And they're going back and forth in this little banter, and Mr. Johnson pretty much called it out. He was like, are you guys arguing? Like, are you guys having a fight? And it was funny, he kind of gave Janine this look like, I see y'all. And it kind of reminded me of like that couple. So, like I said, y'all, I'm holding out hope. So while all of that's going on with Greg, we get a view of the very infamous teacher's lounge where they all hang out, and they're having a discussion. It's Melanie and I want to say Jacob and Janine, and they're talking about, you know, just some things. And then Janine sits down with her cup of noodles and pork rinds, and I think Barbara was in there as well, and they're talking, and Melissa just looks over and she's just like, oh my God, is that your lunch? Like, why do you have such a lunch that looks like you just got out of jail or whatever, or you did hard time? And then Janine makes this little joke, and she's like, this is basically what I eat because Tariq used to cook, and now I don't really know how to cook because my mama never taught me. And even before they got on the lunch discussion, they were annoyed because Janine has been talking about her ex-boyfriend Tariq, like, constant. Like, he always did this. Oh, he used to do this. This one time he did this, and you could tell that they were annoyed and they didn't want to. They just was over it. And so when they were talking about the lunch, she mentioned that he did all of the cooking, and then she mentions that her mom never taught her and her sister how to cook. And Melissa just brings it upon herself to be like, you know what, I'm going to invite you over my house and I'm going to teach you how to cook some budget-friendly meals. And of course, Jacob, he invites himself, and it's really good that we got to finally see like them stepping outside of Abbott Elementary into their home life and learning more about their home life. And as you know, we met Melissa's sister like the first or second episode, where they went to the charter school and she's a teacher, and you know, you could tell that they had beef because they never talked. And that kind of sparked an interest in Janine as well, trying to get to the bottom of why Melissa and her sister don't have a good relationship, and how, you know, her and her sister aren't really close either. And so she just like, you know, just, I could tell the wheels started spinning in her head. And so they get to Melissa's house that night, and Jacob, he brings the wine, and you know, they're just super excited. They're looking around, and you know, her house was nice, and she's teaching them how to make spaghetti, and told them what to get from the store and all those things. And they sent Jacob to the store to get something that they forgot. I think it was like an onion or something like that. And that was a good opportune time for Janine to basically be like, you know, I was thinking about the things you were saying about your sister and how y'all aren't close, and you know what she did, because it was like this family beef, and it just really like got my emotions going, and she was kind of getting emotional about that. And she and Melissa just basically like shut it down, like, you don't know what my sister did, I don't want to talk about it, like, let's just focus on the food. And unbeknownst to Melissa, of course, Miss Save the Day Janine, she decides and took it upon herself to make up a plan to where she's gonna get Melissa and her sister to talk. And let's just say her heart was in the right place. Now we're going to jump back to Greg. So with this disruptive student, you know, nothing was that he thought would worked. So he decided to finally take the child, like I said, to the principal's office. And once the child spent some time there, Ava brought the child back, and you know, Greg to himself thought, okay, this was a good idea. He's more happy. Like, you know, everything seems okay. Ava seems okay. And Ava basically told him like, oh, you think this is going to work? Like, he'll be back, like they always do, and then walks out. And as you know, Greg is kind of looking around like, why would she say that? The other kids in the classroom, I noticed that he had candy, noticed he had toys, and they're like, oh man, I want to go to the principal's office too. That seems like he had fun. So then that sparks just disturbance inside of Greg, because he's like, she's supposed to be correcting behavior, not rewarding bad behavior. And he just like was fuming. He was upset about it. So they get to the teacher's lounge again, and he's talking to Jacob, and Jacob was like, oh, you thought that I sent my kids to the principal's office for corrective behavior. No, I send them there because I know that she'll keep them occupied so that I can, you know, deal with the kids that's doing what they're supposed to do. And he's like, but she's the principal, like, this is what she's supposed to do. Like, how did she get away with that? And they was like, come on, like, you know that Ava never does her job. And my whole time thinking, like, she never does her job as I watch the episode. So why would you think that she would be in there disciplining the child or whatever? So he goes on and on and on about it, how it's never going to work, which it doesn't, because I see it all the time. And rewarding bad behavior and just being sent out of class to go, you know, with the people that's supposed to be correcting it, and then they come back with toys, they come back with chips and candy and pop, all the kids is gonna think, oh, it's fun, so they're gonna end up acting up too, right? Been there, done that. So he decides to go to Barbara to ask her for advice about it, and then to also to see if she could talk to Ava, because Ava listens to her, about, you know, just doing what she's supposed to be doing. So she does, and then Ava calls him out over the intercom to come to the office, and everybody's just like, walk of shame, ooh, you in trouble. Kids are teasing him and all that stuff. So he goes to the office, and she's basically like, look, if you don't like how I run things, if you don't like how I do, you need to figure out a way to get this child's attention, and two, you need to figure out a way to discipline him your own way. So of course, you know, he's just like, yeah, whatever, and they part ways. And eventually he decides throughout the episode to, meet the kid where he is, and not necessarily be such a hard disciplinarian, but kind of be soft. Because remember season 1 when we met his dad, and how his dad was very militant and very like hardcore, and like a man's job is not to be no principal or teacher, and he just had all that going on. So he decided to basically, like I said, meet the child where he was at, make the lesson more engaging, incorporate some things that he knows that the child likes, which was Bluey. And if y'all have not got into Bluey, I promise you, one child in y'all family or with y'all friends is gonna introduce y'all to Bluey very, very soon, because students have got me with jokes from that show. Like, they talk about that show all the time, and it's very, very cute. Very, very cute. I know a lot of adults that are like that show too. So yeah, so Greg just pretty much just decides, like, I didn't like being super hard, my dad being super hard on me. And even Barbara had to sit him to the side towards the end of the episode and basically talk to him about, having, being a black man, being a teacher, he needs to be a disciplinarian, but he also needs to get the kids respect, and basically like mesh the two, find a happy medium and do what you got to do. And that's what caused him to meet the child, where he was at. And the child loved the lesson. He was very engaged in it. He was happy that, he incorporated Bluey into it, because that's, what things from Bluey's way he used to yell out to disrupt the class. And the kids, one little girl was in there like, he ain't gonna know it anyway, even though you calling on him. But even though he didn't, it was nice to see that he had some type of resolve. And he's again still getting his feet wet in this like permanent teacher position, figuring out things to do, figuring out ways to do things. And I'm just glad that this little core group of teachers got each other's back and can help each other. All right, y'all, so back at Melissa's house, like I said, unbeknownst to her, Janine took it upon herself to drop off a little gift to Melissa's sister. And once it was after school and her and Jacob again were at her house, cooking another meal, the doorbell rings and in walks Melissa's sister. And to her surprise, she's like, what are you doing here? And then her and her sister go back and forth, just throwing insults at each other, talking about this food, and talking about everything that transpired as to why they don't really mess with each other like that. And even though, like I said, Janine's intentions were good, it didn't work out the way that she thought they would. And she was just like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Because again, she hated to hear that Melissa's sister and her were not close. And she was basically saying, once I got back to school the next day, she was like basically saying, I hated the fact that y'all not close. I miss my sister. Like, I couldn't, fathom seeing my sister in the street and just walking right past her like I didn't know her. And, we find out the deeper issue with Melissa and her sister. I want to say her name was like something Marie. I don't know. I couldn't think of it. But we found out the deeper issue as to why they don't talk, and how she just walked away from the family. And it just kind of like makes you think, because I have an older sister and I'm a younger sister. And me and my younger sister are like this. Like, even though she moved away to Texas, I miss her so much. We still keep in contact, send each other memes and funny videos and stuff like that. But we've always been attached at the hip, even though our personalities are totally different. But I love my sister. And then we have an older sister. And we didn't grow up super close, but as we became adults, and ventured out on our own and stuff, and we forged that relationship. So I'm very grateful for that. And it is what it is. But and even not even just with sisters or siblings, it could be with any family members, like you, or friends. Like, you grow up super close, and then one little thing happens, and then it turns into this big thing, and then you never speak again. And I just always, like I say all the time, like, I pride myself in loving how close knit my family is, and my cousins. Like, we were raised like sisters. And even though some of us don't talk anymore, even though some of us have our day-to-day lives, but whenever we catch up, it's like nothing's ever changed. And I really like loved like deep close relationships with friends and family. So I understood, you know, why Janine felt like she wanted to like help her friend, because like I said, you never want to see your friends down and out or alone, or, you know, having beef or just over petty things. And so, you know, they kind of, Janine apologized, like I said, told her, you know, her reason behind it, and then they went on from there. And then, y'all, to wrap up the show, at the end, once everybody is home and in their own respective places, we see a little drunk or tipsy Melissa, with her glass of wine with the camera crew in her house still, and she is showing us pictures and just reminiscing about her and her sister, and how, and you can see like in the pictures, you know, that they always had some type of like, what is it, some type of attitude towards one another, or some type of negative bond, but they called it love or whatever. But at that particular time, you can kind of tell like she misses her sister. Like with Janine throwing it in her face, it probably made her start thinking like, you know what, I wish me and my sister were close, but we are who we are, and it is what it is. But that doesn't mean that I don't miss her. That doesn't mean that, you know, I don't think about her from time to time. So I think she was kind of in her feelings about that, and it was nice to see that softer side of her, that tipsy side of her. And again, I'm just hoping maybe, you know, in the future, the sisters will talk to each other, because I'm really enjoying seeing, one, their homes this season, and like branching out and seeing different cast members and different family members of the cast. So that was pretty much the entire episode, y'all. Make sure y'all stream it on Hulu the day after. I know that it's up probably right now. And make sure y'all catch Abbott Elementary every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on ABC. Thank y'all for watching and rocking with me. Again, sorry that I didn't get it up right after the episode last night, but there was some things going on. But always remember that I'm going to get it done regardless. So thank y'all for watching, and I hope y'all enjoyed. Peace.